Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today and welcome back. It's so nice to see you guys again, even though I can't really see you. Anyways, it's been quite some time since I posted a video. You guys know I went on vacation and you probably thought I stayed and didn't come back, but I did, and I'll just tell you guys, I came back to such a mess and it's just been really hard for me to make a video. If you live on the East Coast, especially in the Mid-Atlantic and New England states, you guys know that the Saturday before Halloween we got a hell of a snowstorm and a lot of people lost power. There were a lot of trees down, and upward into Sussex County, New Jersey where I live, we got hit really hard. We had a foot of very heavy wet snow. That caused a lot of the trees to fall, a lot of limbs to fall, and that was actually the Saturday before we were leaving for Cape May. We were leaving that Sunday, and we got like 12 big heavy limbs down. There were about 3 on the roof, and one actually went right through the side of our house. Thank God it was in the attic. It wasn't in the living area where we live, but it was still scary as hell. So we waited a while after the storm that Sunday to see if the power was going to come back on, and finally my mom got a hold of me and she's like, you guys need to go because you already paid for your vacation. I got the dogs, I'll come over there and, you know, let them out, play with them, watch them, and you guys just go. So come to find out, we were down in Cape May for a week, and the entire week we were down there, almost a week, nobody had power up here. So I guess we kind of lucked out in a way that we were down there and we planned the trip for that week, but I felt bad for my family who was up here who didn't have power. The reason I couldn't make videos last week because behind me, you see the window, you can see some of the branches are probably still sticking up, but that whole entire window was like covered with tree branches in front of it, and it kind of made me look like I had kind of a halo around me when I shot videos, so I kind of looked weird. So I decided just to wait until they cleaned it up a bit. The yard is still a mess. My father-in-law came over and took a big pine tree down, the one that went through the attic, and they're still cleaning it up. So today no one's going to come over to fix anything or cut anything down, so I decided I'd come on here and make a quick video, tell you guys how vacation was, and I do have a paranormal story that happened last week, or no, it was 2 weeks ago, for you guys, and it's a pretty awesome story, so I can't wait to tell you, but let me tell you a little bit about my trip first. So as you guys know, we went down to Cape May, which is a lovely Victorian town. The whole city of Cape May is a National Historic Landmark. Cape May is notoriously haunted. Even being down there and going on some tours, the tour guide just kept talking about ghosts, and I was pretty much the only one in the trolley who was like, yes, ghosts, tell us more. Everybody else kind of just rolled their eyes about it and was like, yeah, whatever. I think maybe some people on the tour kind of believed in ghosts but didn't want to admit it because they were embarrassed because no one else was like, yay. But, you know, whatever. I thought it was pretty entertaining. I did take some pictures of some of the Victorian houses that are down there. This is just a tiny bit of them, and I'll show you guys now so you can get a feel of what they have down there if you've never seen them. And of course I did some ghost hunting or investigating while I was down there, and I'm still going over the recordings from that because I got hours and hours and hours of recordings, and when I get it all together I will do a video for you guys of the ghost hunting portion of that trip. I do have a paranormal story to tell you guys, and I'll tell you right now, I didn't know this was going to be a paranormal story until this past weekend, and it just completely blew me away. Actually, we had 2 paranormal events in this house within the last 2 weeks, and they were both witnessed by my husband. One was witnessed by both of us, but the really, really big kicker was witnessed by him, and it was just... It's something that I always read that happens to people, but I never believe it really, because I've never really had it happen to me. It's something that is like, I really wish something like that would happen to me, but it never does. So that day of that storm, I'm going to tell you the thing that happened to both of us first. It was just really weird. We were standing by the picture window right after the lights first went out, and we call it the lights, but it's the electricity. Does everybody say the lights went out, or did they say the electricity went out? I think we just say the lights went out because it's easier to say. Blah, 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 Emma. It was right after the electricity just went out, and we were standing by the picture window because there were limbs falling down left and right around the house. And we're just like, wow, this is crazy, you know? Nobody expected this. We were a little annoyed because we lost electricity so early. It was probably around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So about probably a half hour after the electricity went out, we were standing by the windows watching the hailstorm that was going on at the window. And we're both standing there, and we have like our heads together. And from behind us, we heard a woman yell really loud. And it had to be in the house because it was like right behind us. It was almost in our ear. And of course, I look at him and I'm like, did you hear that? And he's like, I heard it. What was that? Like, that was like a person. And he's like, yeah, I heard it. Exactly what she said, I can't tell you because he says she said one thing and I said she said another thing. I think she said stop, and he thinks she yelled God. So I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe if she yelled stop, she was telling us to stop looking out the window just in case a limb went through. Maybe it was a guardian or a relative trying to protect us. I don't know, but it was amazing, and he was so thrilled because he really likes when he experiences things like this because he's a skeptic, as I told you guys before, and it just amazes him. Now, before that happened, we were getting some snow on the ground, and my husband actually went out to the back patio to shovel a little bit away so the dogs had a place to go outside in case they need to go to the bathroom. We have a husky, and she'll go tromping out in 4 feet of snow. She doesn't care. She loves snow. The Westie doesn't seem to mind snow, but the miniature Dotson is tiny, and she really needs to get some paths shoveled so she doesn't get lost. So I don't know exactly what he was doing, and I'm not going to try to tell it as he was doing it. But he went out there and he was shoveling the pathway, and he came back in. And this is when we still had the lights on. It happened before we heard the voice. And I'm just moseying around the house. I was trying to get the laundry done before we lost power because we predicted we were going to lose it. So we were all ready for our trip the next day. And he just looks at me randomly. He goes, Jenkins isn't dead. I just saw him in his backyard. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, whatever, that's cool. Now you guys are like, who's Jenkins? What the hell are you talking about? Jenkins is our next door neighbor. Now we call him Jenkins, that's not his name, but we refer to him as Old Man Wittershanks or Old Man Jenkins because he's the grumpiest old man in the world. The reason he said that is because we haven't seen him in over a year, and nobody knows what happened to him. Just one day he stopped coming out of his house. Usually he came out of his house, got the mail. He'd always be in his backyard yelling at our dogs. What he'd yell is he'd be like, stay where you are, don't come over here. Like, my dog's gonna like jump the fence and rip him apart. A couple times if I had family over, they'd park by his fence because there's no room to park in my driveway, and he'd be like, you can park there, but don't get any closer. So he was not a very nice old man. If he got a cane, he'd shake it at you, trust me. So we hadn't seen him for over a year. The last time I saw him was actually out getting his mail, and I was actually coming in from getting my mail, and he was coming out. He had a hat on. It was in September of 2010 last year, and it was such a warm day, and I'm like, why is this guy wearing a beanie hat? It is so hot out. He must be getting sick. And that's the last time I saw him. And then I didn't see him after that. We saw his son a couple times. We keep seeing someone come get his mail, so we're just assuming maybe he got really sick, he's bedridden, and someone has to come and get his mail for him. Maybe he's living with his adult children. Maybe he's in there and he's bedridden. We don't know. We don't ask questions. Around here, we all stick to our own business. We don't really talk too much with the neighbors. We wave. That's the way we like it. This weekend, my niece had her 18th birthday party, and we were there, and my niece, my youngest niece, actually, she is, my youngest niece, came up to me, and she goes, oh, your old man neighbor died. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no, actually Justin saw him out in his backyard. We thought he was dead too because we haven't seen him in a long time, but Justin just saw him out in his backyard. Now, mind you guys, all this time we hadn't seen him physically, every night his light is on in the living room. So she's like, no, my mom talked to her friend who talked to his son, and he said my father died. So I'm like, well, maybe he died in between the time Justin saw him and the time I'm talking to her, because it's been 2 weeks since he saw him. And she's like, well, I don't know when he died, but I'll text my mom and I'll find out. She's just like, she texts her mom, and her mom's like, I think he died like a year ago. I'm like, no. I'm like, there's no way, because Justin just saw him. So I'm like, okay, we're going on the tax records, because I don't know this guy's name. But we went on the tax records, we looked up his name, and the first thing I see on the tax records is his name, and I'm not going to say it, and the word estate next to it. And when you see that on a tax record, you know the person is dead, because it's his estate handling it. So I'm thinking to myself, well, if he died within the last 2 weeks, that was pretty quick to get an estate title on the tax records. But let's Google his name and see if we can find an obituary. Maybe he did die within the last 2 weeks. So I Googled the name, and I saw on the first thing I see on the obituary in the Google page is it says November 8th. I'm like, yeah, look, see, he just died November 8th. Like, that's why he saw him. He was just out in his yard, walking around. Cool. We click on the freaking obituary, guys, and I shit you not, it was November 8, 2010. God! I called my husband, because he was actually here helping his dad take the tree down, and he was actually on his way to the party because they got finished, and he said, I called him, and he's like, I'm on my leg. I'm like, please tell me, promise me you saw that guy out in his yard and you weren't pulling my leg. And he's like, yeah, I saw him. He was just walking around. He's just walking in his backyard looking at the snow. And I'm like, he died last year. And you know what my husband said? That's so awesome! I can't believe that freaking happened, but if I see him, I'm just running the other way, because I don't know how nice he is in death. I know he wasn't very nice in life, but that was pretty freaking awesome, if you ask me. I don't know. I'm still, like, aghast about it, and I actually came home and I was, like, Googling his name and looking up and make sure it was really him, and it was him, and it's just like, wow. I am like so freaked out about it. But he's like, why are you so freaked out about it if you're like the ghost woman? And I'm just like, because I'm a human being, and it's just like, I'm amazed that he saw what he saw, because he's the biggest skeptic. But I'll tell you guys, within the last couple weeks, I've been saying to him, I really, really, really wish so bad that something happens to you that makes you a true believer, and maybe that's what it was. So I have a couple videos coming up for you guys in the next couple weeks. Wolf Knight, who is my loyal subscriber and friend here on YouTube, asked me to do a video on my opinion and some stories I have on Ouija boards, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do, I actually did 2 ghost hunts within the last 2 weeks, and I'm going through that data now, if I can call it data, and I'm going to be posting those results for you guys too. If you guys have any suggestions for videos, let me know also. As you can see, we have Christmas decorations up. You can probably see the feet of the reindeers up there on the windows. So it's going to get busy for me again, so just let me know what you guys want to see from me. And thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully I can chip this video down a little bit. It got a little long. And again, thank you guys for subscribing to me. As always, I really appreciate all your support. And say goodbye to our YouTube ghost friend. Bye, guys.